Folks, welcome here to another episode of the Soul Sessions. I'm your host, Soul, and with me today, well, this man is a bit of a Terminator. He's a big lad indeed. He's one half of Termination Z. Ross Hauser, welcome to the show, my friend.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on. I've been keeping up with the show for a while.
Oh, Ross, thank you for the kind words. Honestly, it makes me want to go for a wee pint and have a wee celebratory drink, but work is first. We must do our job here. So as I do, Ross, with every guest, every guest has a story and every story has a beginning. Ross, how did your story begin as a wrestling fan?
My story began when I was passed down an old VHS tape. I think my cousin got it at a jumbo sale or something. It was SummerSlam 1997. And I think I was 8 or 9 at the time. So that would have been in like 99, 2000. And didn't even bother rewinding it. First I put it on and it was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Undertaker match. Seen Bret Hart come out and was drawn in by the colours, and then Undertaker was just drawn in by the character, really. Mm-hmm. Then didn't watch it till Royal Rumble 2000 on Channel 5 after that. Then none of those guys were on it, so it was a bit weird.
Wow, I mean, that's a hell of a way to start. Three legends, Michaels, Bret, and Taker. Those three, just off the names alone, legends of this industry as well. And I want to know your thoughts on this, Ross. If you had to think, ranking them, the top, in three, first, second place, and third place, who would you rank in, Taker, Hart, and Michaels?
That's tough. Depending on what day of the week it is, I could go in any order. But usually, more often than not, I would rank Undertaker at number one, more because of his longevity and character and the full persona. Then it's Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. That's one of wrestling's oldest questions, isn't it? You prefer Shawn or Bret?
Yeah, I'm sure Internet wrestling wars have been started over that question, indeed, Ross. God damn.
So it could go either way. But I'd say I'm slightly more of a Bret Hart guy.
Oh, wow. Hey, fair play. Bret is, as I mentioned before, the other two individuals, legends of this business. The man's done it all. Even been a part of some legendary moments within wrestling in itself. But I want to talk about Taker first as well. With Taker, he would be synonymous with the streak at WrestleMania, this very iconic part of wrestling history. And I want to know your thoughts, Ross, with Taker now retired and obviously the streak, ended a long time ago. Do you feel like that's maybe a special moment of Mania lost when he's not there?
Yes, I do. I do actually, because Undertaker was synonymous with WrestleMania. So he didn't. It's not just the fact that he went undefeated at so many WrestleManias. It's the fact that he appeared at so many as well. There's not many that have wrestled at so many WrestleManias as well, because he wrestled at 25 WrestleManias, I think it was.
Yeah, near enough. God, man, it just shows man was a legend indeed, and obviously his streak is very synonymous with his wrestling career. Many great matches, like the Shawn Michaels duo, Triple H as well, the end of an era match. He wrestled Punk, Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, and many others. Is there a particular match of the streak that is your favorite, Ross?
Yeah, it was easy to go for the two Shawn Michaels ones. However, if there's any other ones, I think the Randy Orton one at WrestleMania 21 is underrated.
Oh.
Also, trying to think if I've missed any obvious ones. The first Triple H one at WrestleMania 17 is also very good, although it's got the longest ref bump in the history of wrestling, I think.
Very true indeed. I mean, good God, I think that man was having a bit of a micro nap. Well, Fair play to the boy. If you need your rest, you need your rest as well. But obviously, you know, with Undertaker, wrapped up his career with the match against AJ Styles at the Boneyard match. But what I think was really fascinating with Taker was the Last Ride documentary, getting to see the networking, just getting a whole insight. You know, I was surprised of how far back it went. And all those parts, they're great in detail as well. Do you feel like the Last Ride documentary is a perfect way to end Undertaker's whole career, being able to get that insight to him and seeing how his mind worked for those past years in his, you know, final years of career?
Yes, I think it does. I think it could only have been released after his career because it kind of humanizes him. It kind of makes you realize what he went through all those years, all the trouble he went through, not just physically but mentally. How there was thing I remember the most from it was when he would have a good match, but then he would want to do that again, but that next match wouldn't be as good. And then he'd want to do another one. And it was just a cycle. And he ended it in a good way against AJ Styles. And another match in the streak that I just remembered that I quite enjoyed is the match with Batista in 2007.
Oh,
it's one of my favorites as well.
Nah, it's definitely a banger match as well. And Batista as well is another great, you know, wrestler within the history of the WWE and wrestling in general. You know, also doing great stuff as an actor as well. And I've always been fascinated, you know, with Batista coming back for that final match against Triple H in a no holds bar match. You know, and it just made me think, you know, like we can get great endings for careers as well. And I want to know, Ross, you know, is there a particular, you know, final match in a wrestler's career that you think is just sublime, perfect? It couldn't have been done better.
Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair should have been, but it wasn't. In terms of other people retiring in the last match, I think Stone Cold Kevin Owens is very good if that ends up being his last match.
Oh, no, that was a very good match. It was honestly surprised me 100%. I thought it was going to be like a not very good match, but I was pleasantly surprised and thought, wow, this is really good as well. There's obviously a lot of people that want a CM Punk Stone Cold Steve Austin match. Do you think that's something that could be in the cards?
I think it's possible, yeah. If both guys are fit and injury free, I think it could happen at next year's WrestleMania, maybe.
I mean, can they just bring that WrestleMania over to the UK so we don't have to stay up until 5 a.m. watching a legendary match?
Well, WrestleMania here.
I'm sure we could, you know, sell somebody's arm and a leg and get that thing made, you know, in detail. Well, one can dream, Ross. One can dream. But also, you know, as well, Ross, you know, there's many other forms of wrestling as well, and you know, there's wrestling outside our very window. You know, the Scottish scene as well. It's a very thriving scene. So many great things going on about it. I want to know, Ross, how were you first introduced to, you know, wrestling within Scotland?
The wrestling in Scotland was 2013 when I first went to a Scottish show. And I didn't even know there was a wrestling show on that day. My friend just phoned me and said, do you want to go and see the Royal Rumble in the garage? And it was the one that had Rock and CM Punk, and John Cena won it as well. And turns out there was I think it might have been the second or third square go that time.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, I was drawn in, seeing Grado and all the other Scottish wrestlers that were on it that day.
Wow.
I was drawn in and didn't go another one until Drew McIntyre came back in the Barrowlands. That was the next one.
Oh, wow. Was that the match against Jack Jester, if I'm correct? For the title?
Yes, it was, yeah. I bought a ticket when it was only that match announced.
Oh, God, wow. I mean, that I got to talk about that because I think I've seen it a part of the ICW Fight Club documentary that was done when Drew came back. And I've seen that match on that documentary, and it had such ferocity behind him. I got to imagine in the crowd there, did you feel like you were a part of maybe Scottish wrestling history there with what Drew and Jester did?
Yeah, I do. Just to see Drew was special for me because it's the first guy I'd really seen come back and wrestle that had been on WWE. And
Wow.
And there was a lot of other good matches in that card too. I think had Wolfgang and BT Gunn as a match in that show as well. Introduced me to a lot more wrestlers in Scotland. Then I started training a few months after that.
Wow, fair play, man. I mean, that's a hell of a match to go from witnessing and then getting into the training side as well. And obviously, as well, training is always a great thing within wrestling. Getting to learn the ropes, psychology and character building, and building your moveset and character as well. Ross, when you went into training at that time, what were some key learnings that you took from that and think, yeah, this is like if I had to build like a book of training, these key aspects need to be in it.
Things I learned when I first started. Having a sporting background helps quite a bit, I found, because I played rugby when I was growing up, and I felt it benefited me quite a lot because I was used to the physical side of it. The showman side of it I wasn't so good at the time, but that came. What else? It's got to be patient. That's
Aye, very true, Ross. Patience is a virtue as well, and obviously, having a sports background, I had some wrestlers from the States mention, with American football and how that physicality and contact help with taking bumps and taking moves as well. I think it's very key as well with that sporting background. Do you think maybe rugby, with how physicality is maybe one of the best sporting backgrounds to have transitioning to wrestling?
Yes, I'd say the two of the best ones to have would be rugby or mixed martial arts, because they do roles in mixed martial arts too. Just do the physicality and get used to the taking hits and whatnot. It's rugby and mixed martial arts are the two I would say are the best sports to have a background in before wrestling.
Hey, very good indeed. I think my background in golf ain't going to help me much. I mean, I can do a good swing with a power, but that to the side there. But obviously as well, Ross, you call yourself the Terminator as well, and I immediately think of those only two good movies of that franchise. Still a good franchise. But I want to know, what was it about, calling yourself nicknamed the Terminator? What was it about that name that really drew to you?
So that was a nickname I had growing up, because growing up I was quite expressionless and machine-like almost. I acquired that nickname and just took it into wrestling.
Fair play indeed as well. Obviously, I did mention the Terminator films, and I think there's only two good ones. The other ones, subpar, shall we say. Is the Terminator franchise one of your favorite film franchise of yours, Ross?
Well, as you say, the first two definitely, but after that, the third one's okay, but after that, they go downhill.
Yeah, downhill it's more like nuclear sort of level. I mean, I kind of dig Salvation. I do like the whole vibe with that, and Christian Bale was somewhat decent in it. But then there's like Genesis, Dark Fate, and you're just thinking, Jesus Christ, where are we going here? I mean, as a fan of those films, do you think maybe they really just hit the wall. There's only so much you can tell with this story.
Yeah, I think they milked everything they could out of that story.
Yeah,
And a lot of folk will just go to those films to see Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of the original cast, but the movies themselves are not great.
Oh, they are. Yeah, proof. I gotta tie my tie for that because they are. Yeah, they ain't good movies. I mean, obviously, thing in Hollywood is they love to reboot their franchises and go from the beginning. Now, with the Terminators, they usually do include Arnie because he is the star of it. But Arnold's getting old. Time passes by. Is there any actor you think currently would be a very good Terminator to replace Arnold?
Can't think of anybody off the top of my head, except say maybe John Cena or Dave Bautista might be okay at it.
Well, I mean, yeah, just to see Batista do like a spine buster on another robot and then Cena just disappearing because no one can see him. Yeah, I think we got money there, Ross. I think we can easily make a good few millions on the box office. Yeah, I think that's a very good plan. But obviously, from the Terminator to Termination Z, you're a tag team with Daro as well. I want to know what was the story about forming Termination Z?
Well, me and Daro have then known each other for a good number of years when we started training before GPWA, and we, like a lot of the community pro wrestling folk did. Then during lockdown, me and Daro became a bit closer because people tried to do these COVID workouts over Zoom, and me and Daro would be the only ones that were there most days. Sometimes it would just be us, and then when gyms opened again, we started going to the gym together, and we would always just talk about wrestling and stuff. And then when training started, we started going together, and when Brave Davey created Community Pro Wrestling, it was kind of a mix of his idea and ours. So it was like, we need a good guy tag team. Why not put me and Daro together? And it just went on from there.
Hey man, you honestly, I've seen the clips from Instagram.
CPW show, I believe.
Oh, wow, hey, fair dues. Honestly, I mean, Ross, I've seen it from the Instagram when community pro shows come up and they do the little tag highlights and the story, and seeing you guys can kill it. Honestly, you guys are amazing, and I really like what you guys are doing as well. And you faced some great opponents as well. You faced the Pack, you faced Casino Brutal, so many other great tag teams. If you could pick an ideal tag team within the UK scene that you and Daro would love to face, is there a particular team on your mind?
There's a lot of good tag teams in the UK. There's the Grizzled Young Veterans. They'd be very good to face. Or Subculture, who are coming to CPW soon. Don't know who's facing them though, but and there's the Landed Gentry down in North.
Okay.
There's what's the name again? The Bronco and Danny Jones. The
Greedy Souls.
The Greedy Souls, yes. Yeah.
Oof, God, yeah. I mean, that you just mentioned great names there, Ross, honestly. And I think that's something that's great with tag team wrestling. You can see so many great characters within one unit of a team. And also, you mentioned Subculture. I've had both Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster on the show, and they are coming up here to Scotland for Community Pro Wrestling's Tag Team Championship tournament. Friday, May the 3rd, and Saturday, May the 4th as well. You know, many great teams there. Obviously, yourself and Daro, you know, Subculture, as I mentioned, Ronan King and Judas Gray, Casino Brutal. And it's going to be crowning, you know, CPW Tag Team Championships. When I had Ray Davey on before, he mentioned this was something that was in the plan. But now to know there is a goal, there is the date of these championships being crowned. How much would it mean for you, and I'm obviously assuming Daro as well, to win these championships, to be inaugural champions?
It would mean the world to us to be the first ever CPW Tag Team Champions. There was a CPW post recently that when Kuro and Mecca came over that called us the gatekeepers of the CPW Tag Team division, because every new team that arrives in the company seems to face us first. So it would be just us being the first champions of the division that we helped build. And it doesn't matter if we never hold them again after that. We'll always be the first if we win that 4-way ladder match on May the 4th, if we get through to that.
Absolutely, mate. Honestly, I mean, the gatekeepers of community. I think that's a good tagline. Get on a shirt. I'm sure you'll be selling some at the show. Mm-hmm. It's a nice wee bit of the pocket as well. But Tag Team Championships, we don't know what these titles look like for Community Pro, but there's some beautiful Tag Team Championships out there. You know, look at Progress, ICW, Discovery Wrestling's Tag Team Championships as well are beautiful. If you can envision how these Tag Team Champions will look like based upon a design in, you know, maybe in current history or the past, what would you love the Community Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championships to look like?
Similar to the NXT UK Tag Team Championships. I really like the NXT UK belts.
You are right, Ross. You know, they are a beauty. And to sadly see them gone and we have the Hubba Bubba red and blue belts on the main roster, it's a shame. It's a crime against belt design. But I don't make the show, so sadly my opinion goes quieted out. I just have to take it by and just live with it. But it is really going to be an amazing show, and I think everyone should go there. And I think Community Pro as well, doing so many great things. You know, they just had Santino Marella over as well, who hosted a seminar as well. I want to know, if you attended that seminar, what was it like to learn from Santino?
Yes, I did attend that, and they spoke about a lot of good things that we'll all definitely take on board. One of the things that would just be different than the other matches that have been on the show. That was one thing we took away from it and took into our match on the Santino show the following night.
Yeah, hey, it was a banger show indeed as well. It just shows that I feel like Community Pro is an amazing place, not even just an amazing company, but a place of what they offer, what they provide for fans, wrestlers like yourself, and just also in its name, the community as well. And to see, you know, like Santino Marella coming over, you know, Wild Boars coming up as well, and Subculture there as well, just so many great names. Is there, if you could maybe pick some names, either from the UK or abroad in the bigger companies that you would love to come over to just even be a part of Community Pro show, who would you love to see come over?
Anyone that's on the indies at the moment. I would say Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. That would be a good name to get. We do seem to be getting a few from TNA as well, so that would help with that.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, TNA killing it, did their UK tour and had the gut check as well. And it feels like they're becoming more of a part of the UK scene as well with how much they're coming over. And as well, Ross, you know, great tag teams there as well. You know, they got ABC, you know, Motor City Machine Guns, and so many others. You know, I would guess Motor City Machine Guns, would that be the dream team, tag team from TNA to come over and wrestle?
100%, yeah. Motor City Machine Guns are one of my favorite tag teams. that I watched when I was in my teenage years. Because like just the other day, the match of theirs popped up on my YouTube that I watched was them against Steen and Generico from Ring of Honor. It was a great match, and there's got a massive catalogue of matches like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's amazing with the Motor City Machine Guns. You know, a team that really never went to a big company like the WWE, but still had an impact, you know, with fans and wrestlers and the connection they had. What is it you think, Ross, about the Motor City Machine Guns that they have that kind of connection with individuals?
They're one of the first tag teams to try different tag team moves that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Different combinations, and they brought a new style of tag team wrestling. I think they brought a new style to people's attention.
Hey, fair play as well. When you're an innovator and you're creating new things for people to enjoy and learn from, you're definitely a history maker within the wrestling scene as well. And that's just what we love with wrestling. It's the connection and the history, because without the history, you know, what do we have to strive for indeed? And obviously with tag teams as well, sometimes they can have matches against one another. You know, I think of FTR, Dax, and Cash when they were in the Owen Hart tournament. But I know you and Daro have faced off against each other in the Community Pro Wrestling Championship tournament. Is it interesting facing your tag team partner? Do you feel like an extra motivation to one-up each other, or is it just a nice civil competition?
Well, in our case, it started off as a civil competition. That then, as the match went on, we both realised, wait, I want to win, sort of thing, and it just goes up a gear, and then all friendship goes out the window after that point.
Yes. Well,
then after the match, all respect is regained.
Exactly. No one got put through a barbershop window, so we're all good on that point. Nothing went out the window. We're all civil and well. So that is great to see as well. Now, also, Ross, I know something with wrestling as well is being, you know, an idol or a representation. You know, people within communities such as the LGBT, we've seen with, you know, Giselle Shaw in TNA, people within the UK scene as well, just being a good representation with groups and mental health as well. And I know something that I caught in your bio as well, you know, autism is my superpower, being a representation of that side. How important is it for you to maybe be an idol for a young wrestling fan who might have autism as well, and just being someone they can look up to?
It's very important to me. As you've seen by my new T-shirts that haven't get made, and just reason for that is because I know what it's like to grow up having autism. Mm-hmm. It's like when I was growing up, whenever I would tell somebody that I was autistic, they would more often just laugh at me and call me to some derogatory terms. And it was quite difficult, very difficult. And I just don't want any of those kids to go through that. I want them to know that there's a place that they can be supported and be themselves. And it's like if I had a place like the Glasgow School of Wrestling when I was growing up, I would have loved it. I would have been there every week.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it is great what you're doing, Ross. Honestly, keep it up, my friend, because being an idol for someone who might be struggling or not knowing who they are, and they get to see someone like you know, kicking butt in the ring, delivering clotheslines, and wrestling some of the biggest names within the UK scene. That's something, my friend. That's showing that you are a beacon of light for these people. So keep it up, my friend, honestly. You're doing good things.
It gave me the confidence to do all this.
Okay. Absolutely, pal. And I think that's just amazing with not just, you know, the Scottish wrestling scene, but community. So I want to know, Ross, if you could sum up the feeling and the words to describe community pro wrestling, what it's achieved, what it's done, and what it will achieve, what words come to mind?
To sum up community pro wrestling, the word, apart from the word community, which you already mentioned, just a general good and friendly atmosphere. Even backstage, everybody is supportive of each other. Everybody is happy for each other's achievements. There's none of this people wanting others to do good but not better than them sort of thing. There's just a general good atmosphere in the ring and the crowd and backstage.
I think that just nails it on the head, my friend. It's a welcoming, thriving community. Need I say more? It explains itself. But Ross, we're coming to the end of our time here, so I want to finish up with one final thing. Looking to the future, let's say it's now December 2024. It's still dark out because Scotland doesn't get any light anyway, so that's not changed. But the end of the year's come by. All these months have gone. I want to know what's something you would have loved to achieve by the end of this year.
To win the CPW and Attitude Pro Wrestling Tag Team Titles, because I've got the opportunity to win both of them. And also I would like to have won a singles title as well somewhere.
Ooh, wow. I mean, hey, very ambitious goals.
Wrestle abroad at one point this year. I would like the opportunity to do that.
Well, hey, Ross, look, I think wherever you go, the Terminator will be landing and making sure that his conquest is on. So keep it up, my friend, and I honestly believe you will be landing somewhere soon. But folks, if you have loved what you've heard of Ross today, I will put a link to his Instagram down below. Click on it, and when he drops that t-shirt, Autism is my superpower, get it into your basket and get it bought, because it is a great t-shirt and it's a great thing to represent as well. Well, Ross, my friend, thank you for tuning in here. Folks, I would say the whole YouTuber stick, but guess what? This has been around since 2005. I ain't going to bother. I actually think you know what you're doing. Well, folks, stay well and stay humble.